It's gonna be a great day. The sun is shining, the day is bringing surprises, so I gotta do my thing and help my friends win. We're on a collective mission to elevate our positions, to collect the funky dividends. So I offer a helping hand to my fellow sisters and brothers, encouraging them to...
Hi everybody, welcome back to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. In this episode, we are going to look at some possible stocks that I'm going to invest in the future, and I want to tell you why, and look at the thinking behind how I make my investments or how I decide what investments I want to make. On Monday, I was on the Investing with Rod show on YouTube, and I was watching him interview Clarence Patrick, and they were talking about various different stocks. Now, Lisa J. Stocks was there, and Just Asking for a Friend was there in the audience, so I was in very good company. I was watching them talk about dividend stocks. I put in the chat, what about education stocks? It just popped into my head that because I am an educator and I work in colleges, that I know that there are for-profit colleges out there, and I also know that college tuition is going up. Let's look at why I will invest in college companies in the future, for-profit colleges. Because I am an adjunct, I have that inside view. Now, keep in mind that as an adjunct, you do not get pay raises at most of the colleges you work for. Out of the 3 colleges that I work for, I get pay raises at one of them. 2 of those colleges do not offer pay raises to adjuncts, which may sound bad, however, that's normal in the industry. And what I'm thinking is that if college tuition is rising every year, and it's going to rise in the future, then why not invest in schools where I know that there's going to be rising income? So as we are looking at this particular website, I want to point out that tuition has gone up 300% since the 1960s. And there's a price that's going to keep going up as we get into this new Trump account that they're talking about, where they're going to put $1,000 into the account of every child born in America after July 4th, and that will be saved up for 18 years, and those people will be able to use that for college. Well, if I invest in the colleges now and tuition keeps increasing, then this money will someday come to me through tuition and through the profits of these for-profit colleges. So just to go over a couple of the report highlights here, the average annual cost of tuition at a public college is 40 times what it was in 1963. And tuition inflation has slowed in the 2020s, declining at a 3-year annual rate. So the cost of college tuition has increased 36.8% since 2010, and that's adjusted for inflation. So now let's look at the chart that shows the difference between annual growth and inflation. As you can see from this chart, the public college tuition annual growth is up and down, but overall it's growing. And lately it's growing at 1.6%. However, if you keep in mind that adjuncts, which there are going to be more and more online adjuncts over time, they are not getting pay raises. So that profit, I feel, is going to go to the shareholders. In this chart, you can see the difference in the rising cost between public and state schools, public out-of-state schools, and what I really want to show you is what's in yellow here, which is the private for-profit schools. And you can see that those have not been in business as long as the other schools. However, their prices are still rising. And I think these are the companies that we can invest in. So let's look at some of the names of some of these companies. This is not stock investing advice. I'm just looking at names of possible companies that I may invest in. One company is ATGE, which is a healthcare focused education company. Another one is STRA, PRDO. These are adult and online learners. Now that's where I teach, and so I would be more inclined to go with one of those two, which is more in my realm of what I'm comfortable with. Then there is UTI, LINC, are two other companies. These are skilled trades and workforce demand companies. Early on in my education, before I ever went to college, I went to a trade school and learned how to fix microwave electronics. And that got me out of fixing copy machines and started me traveling around the world in business. Then there is the K-12 and curriculum platforms, which is LRN. So all of these companies should be investigated to see, one, if they're paying dividends, but two, if they are growth stocks and what their prospects are for the future. And what I look at are, what are the leading indicators that education is going to be more prevalent in the future. I realize that AI is going to take over a lot of educational platforms. However, it is still required that you have a PhD to teach at the master's level. Just to look at this from all sides, you really want to be careful of the risks of investing in education stocks. So some of the risks are heavy regulation. There's heavy government regulation, especially with all of the colleges that defaulted in the 80s, and student loans where people are requesting that their student loans be forgiven because their colleges defaulted. Also, you have to be careful of diploma mills. I'm very familiar with diploma mills. There's a lot of online colleges out there that will just issue a diploma if a student just shows up and is breathing. You have to be careful of those kinds of institutions because they may not be around in the future. Also, we talked about politics in that the Trump account is going to put money into the education system eventually. Yes, it's going to pump a lot of money into the S&P 500, which I'm also invested in, but it will also be used by some of these newborns as they go to college. And so I want to benefit on that end too. The student outcomes, we talked about diploma mills. If students are getting out of a college and they can't get a job, then that is a risk to your profits in this for-profit school. So a lot of colleges nowadays have work employment programs to help their graduates get jobs once they've finished college. Just to wrap this up, I'm trying to be ahead of the curve. I'm not investing in something that will produce today, but in something that will produce 20 years from now in the future. Keep in mind, education stocks are not flashy. Like Warren Buffett said, invest in things that you know. And sometimes, this is what occurred to me, the best investments are hidden in plain sight. Remember, never let your past determine your future. Now, if you want more insights, please like and subscribe, because I'm over 1,000 subscribers and I'm working on my 4,000 watch hours so that I can get monetized and donate all my proceeds from YouTube to the homeless. Thank you for watching.